Welcome to Bet On. I am Kelly Stewart, your host tonight. We're going to break down this week's NFL card with Gianni, the Great Gambler, and Marco D'Angelo. Let's get this week's show started. Woo! It's been a long week already, guys. Prime time Sunday and Monday night games. Real quick, I'm going to do a quick disclaimer. It is Wednesday. Don't forget, we film the show on Wednesday afternoons. Lots of things can change by kickoff on Sunday morning, so just keep that in mind. I'll go into that in a little bit more in depth here later on, but just a side note, please. Please don't get mad at me if I change my bet.
5 days from now.
It's tough. It is tough, and we always try to keep it honest, and I'll do my best going forward to let you guys know. But primetime games, Marco, I'm going to start with you. Sunday, Minnesota at Dallas. Dallas is now -3, total 47.5.
Yeah, Kelly, you look at this one. We got Dallas coming off the short week. They played on Monday Night Football last week against the Giants, a game that, you know, the score, you look at it, and it looks like they blew out the Giants, but they really didn't. It was a close game in the first half, then a couple turnovers in the second half, and then that last turnover at the end of the game. Did that change some money around Vegas? Because it was sitting before that right depended where you bet the game. If you bet it early or bet it late to determine whether you had a winner or loser. So probably for the books, they wanted to see it get off that number because that was a middle number where it was sitting at. Guy scoop and score. And then there was a flag, and nobody, it was like...
That didn't even get addressed. Listen, I was pissed because I played the Giants -7 or +7 earlier in the week. Thought, okay, I'll play the number in a rivalry game. I knew Dallas was good. I knew you were on Dallas. The back door was wide open, but that just was annoying.
Yep, I enjoyed it. But and we had it two ways in that game because that was the second half of my teaser closing up from Detroit on Sunday. So I enjoyed the Monday night game with that one. But here, I'm going to look at it. This is a bad spot for Dallas returning back home off of the short week. Yeah, Minnesota's playing their second game in a row on the road, and their third in the last 4. And sandwiched in between those games, they had that Thursday night game at home. So they had a short week and 3 road games. Not a good schedule for them. Kirk Cousins last week couldn't get it done against Kansas City, and I am shocked. The biggest thing I took out of the Kansas City game last week was the fact that Minnesota only ran the ball 27 times.
I was going to say the fact that Dalvin Cook didn't run against that terrible run defense in Kansas City.
If he's running the football, we get good Kirk Cousins. If he's not running the football, we get bad.
Touche.
And I think they're going to be able to run the football this week against Dallas. We know Dallas is going to try to run the football in the last 2 weeks. Dak's pretty similar to Kirk Cousins in the fact that he plays better when the running game is working.
When they feed Zeke.
And they fed Zeke the last 2 weeks, 36 rushes, 189. 30 rushes, 172 the last 2 games. But you're not going to do that against the Minnesota defense. So I think Dak's going to have a little bit of a problem in this one. I look for Kirk Cousins. I can't remember the last time he won a primetime game. Can you?
Yes, yeah. I do. Give me a second. I'll think about that.
Okay, VR, but I'm taking them anyways.
There you go. VR, talk to me. How about this Sunday night game? Are you guys seeing any action on either side, Vikings or Cowboys?
No money on the side or on the total from any of the betting syndicates I have access to or any other movers I share information with. Nobody's gotten down on this game yet. I agree with Marco. I like the Minnesota side here. Dallas has been the beneficiary of turnovers the last 2 weeks. They've looked great, but they've forced 7 turnovers.
They beat the Redskins on Thursday night, but they did not cover.
That's it. Did not cover.
I knew there was a primetime game. Sorry.
I mean, no, it's not hard to win when you do that, and especially against the New York Giants. But for me, I think Minnesota is in a good spot here because of also what Marco touched on. You can't run on them. I mean, over the last 5 games, I think only one team even tried more than 20 rushing attempts against them. And that's going to be a problem. If Dallas ends up a little one-dimensional and doesn't have the spoon working overtime, they could be in trouble at home.
Kelly, one last stat for you on this one. I know how much you love Coach Zimmer. I know you got a man crush on him.
He's the best.
It's okay, How about this? Off of a road loss, since he's been the coach of the Minnesota Vikings, 17-5 against the spread in the next game.
I like it. I like it. I think I've used that one a couple of times this year. He does get that team to bounce back well. Let's talk about Monday Night Football. Seattle at San Fran. San Fran -6, total of 46.5. I'm kind of done stepping in front of the 49ers, you guys. I don't know about you. That's not very much fun. Remember that one time I took the Browns? That was awesome. So, yeah, I don't have a big opinion here. I'd love to make a case for the dog. I'm just not going to because Russell Wilson does have a decent underdog record, but Jimmy G.
Save your money.
All right, VR, what are you seeing over there?
We haven't bet this game yet. I love the San Francisco side. This team's for real. I mean, they are probably the most impressive team so far this season based on who they've played. Their schedule has not been easy, and they've done damage. Again, Seattle's one of those teams where year by year we're seeing that defense get weaker and weaker and weaker. And they're a team that has to run the football to have any success offensively. They're that run mentality, and you're not going to be able to do that against San Francisco. I think it's going to be a long afternoon for Seattle, a long evening, excuse me. I like San Francisco. Jimmy G, baby.
So just fun little Twitter follow if you guys aren't following. Jimmy Vaccaro, pretty legendary bookmaker here in town. He always tweets out the same Sharp Groups tickets throughout the week. They always bet $33,000 to win $30,000. They played San Fran -6, so that's something to consider here. At least if you're wanting to take the other side, just note that. Marco, are you going to make a case for the dog?
Well, I want to say to Seattle, F you, okay? Because last week...
That was bad.
Okay, I had Tampa Bay last week, and they did everything but cover the game. Seattle, they're getting it done. Russell Wilson is the MVP in the NFL right now. If the season ended today, no doubt in my mind he would win the MVP. But he's going against a real legitimate defense. San Francisco, #2 ranked defense in the NFL. But you look at this one, no team's thrown for 300 yards against the 49ers this year. Think about that.
That's crazy.
No team has hit for it. In fact, only one team has thrown for more than 205 yards against them. They bring the heat, and I think that they're going to put pressure on Russell Wilson. They're going to be smart enough to keep a spy on him so that he doesn't get the job done with his feet. And you talk about Jimmy G, you know, the hype is there, but here's the fact. He's 20-3 straight up as a starting quarterback.
Woo!
20-3.
They let up so many yards rushing last week. That defense has to step up.
The last week was a bad spot.
I got to cut you guys off. Great stuff. We're going to step out for a quick break, but when we return, we're going to dig inside those numbers as we look at which NFL games have moved the most and why.
Get $25 in wager bucks added to your account after your first purchase at wagertalk.com and sportsmemo.com. This is just our way of saying thank you for joining the Wager Talk and Sports Memo family.
Did you know every Tuesday is $2 Tuesday at wagertalk.com? We pick the hottest handicapper and offer his best bet for just $2. This is a great way to introduce yourself to the winning handicappers at wagertalk and sportsmemo.com. Okay, it's time to take a deep dive into some of these lines that have moved. The Westgate here in Las Vegas always puts out the NFL lines a week before. They call them the 12-day number. I call them the look-ahead lines, but you can actually bet next week's games before this week's games are played. Once this week's games are played, next week's lines are going to change. The question is, are those moves justified or an overreaction by the public? Marco, we'll start off at MetLife Stadium. New York Giants at New York Jets. The Giants lose to the Dallas Cowboys. The Jets lose to the Miami Dolphins. Yikes. Open Jets -1.5. Now Giants -2.5. This is interesting because there's no way this is justified.
Absolutely not. This is a total overreaction. And by the way, didn't both teams lose last week? Okay, so did the Giants look that much better in losing?
No, they actually looked worse, I think, than the Jets did.
You know, and this is a spot that, honestly, we know how bad Miami is, but when Fitzpatrick is in there at quarterback, they have a legitimate shot. And we saw them give a good effort against Buffalo. Buffalo was coming off a bye week, probably was looking past them, but they still scored points on that good defense. Then we saw them on the Monday night game take the 14-0 lead over my Steelers, and they got the win last week over the Jets. Right now, Sam Darnold, you know, I hate to keep making jokes about it, but whoever at the NFL that had the mic, you know, was in charge of which cuts they put out.
Yeah.
that really wasn't good for Sam Darnold. That should have never been released, him saying that, because everybody is having
a field day with it.
Yeah, it's the biggest.
I mean, look
things
at the Patriots. They're now calling themselves. Now the Ravens are called the Ghostbusters because they were able to kill the ghost. But it's just funny because you're right. It probably was.
And they played Miami played over the loudspeaker Ghostbusters to start the game. I mean,
that is great.
Yeah,
I missed that.
I didn't either.
So it's a spot where it's a bad situation. Now they're back at home. This is the Battle of New York. The Giants are coming off that primetime game, and they got waxed. And you know what? Daniel Jones has showed, promise so far, but as the season goes on, and we keep getting film, and
he's channeling his inner Eli Manning. It's pretty bad.
Well, people are starting to see what he does. They got game film on him, and he's not playing well. 3 turnovers last week they had against Dallas, and if you look at the last 4 games, 4-3, 1-3. You can't turn the football over and win ball games. This is too much, and you'll hear me talk about this game later in the segment.
All right, VR. Green Bay. Carolina at Green Bay. Green Bay loses in a hilarious fashion to the Chargers. That was, and everybody couldn't believe how they just laid an egg in Southern California. They're now a 5-point favorite over a Carolina team that got it done for me against the Titans. I like betting against Green Bay and Lambeau getting points, honestly. Let me say that again. I like betting against Green Bay, laying points in Lambeau. This home field advantage just hasn't been that great the last couple of years, and really we've seen the market agree. Do you think in this line move is justified from the key number of 7 down to kind of a dead number of 5?
I do. I think also the way these two teams match up, with Carolina being able to play defense a lot better than Green Bay can, and I think they're going to have some problems offensively. Green Bay, you saw last week in the first half, I think that was the second lowest output they've had in Rodgers' career at Green Bay as a starter. So something was wrong with that offense last week. We'll get back on track. Only time will tell. But I think on the Carolina side, they're going to have a lot of success running the football. That Green Bay defense can't stop anybody rushing. And McCaffrey against that defense, good luck. I like Carolina.
All right. Detroit at Chicago open. Chicago minus 3.5. Now 2.5. Marco, I almost hated myself enough to make the Bears my best bet. I do like the Bears minus 2.5. The line move is interesting here. I've now bet against the Detroit Lions 3 weeks in a row. Oh, that's a good segue. I apologize to you guys. I did give out the Lions as a barking dog. I got a text from a buddy saying, hey, Matt Stafford's not 100%. I saw the Jimmy Vaccaro ticket with the Raiders minus 2.5, and I said, all right, I'm done. I'm off this Lions team, and I got to cash a ticket, so I owe you guys an apology. Next time I'll try to let you guys know in some form or fashion without giving away my intel.
There you go. Kelly, this is one where in the next segment we're going to do the teaser segment. And this is an automatic, if you're playing just numbers, you tease Detroit up at 2.5. I'm not going to have that in my teaser this week because this is a bad spot for the Lions. They're going back-to-back road games. They're going to play a division rival. And I think it's an overreaction to Chicago losing last week. They showed fight in the second half. The first half was atrocious. And the defense, as good as the defense played, they only gave up 22 points last week. And the week before, they only gave up 17 points to the Chargers. The Philadelphia, 2 different drives were aided by stupid penalties. I was losing my mind watching that game, and then I really lost my mind when I watched the Seattle-Tampa game later. But there was one drive that there were 5 penalties by the Chicago Bears, and the one guy kept jumping off sides. How do you keep jumping off sides?
I always ask my buddy that was an O lineman in college, I'd be like, how come you don't know how to count?
Yeah.
Because it seems so simple. I understand it's frustrating from a spectator side, but I do feel like their job's a little bit harder than we give them credit for.
But the big play in that game was they got off the field, they stopped them on a 3rd down, and they were going to get off, and it was too far for a field goal, so they were going to punt. We were going to get the ball back with a chance to take the lead, and instead Carson Wentz, the defender, comes up, the ball's gone, has to give him the shove, and they get to roughing the quarterback, and it keeps the drive alive, and they get a touchdown, and you know what happens. We got it where the sun doesn't shine with the Bears, but I like that they didn't quit in the second half, and they made a game of it. I'm going to look, I think Chicago is the side here.
All right, Miami at Indianapolis. This one's come down a lot. Indianapolis opened 15.5-point favorite, now minus 10.5 because the Dolphins got their first win.
And the undecided at quarterback for Indianapolis I'm seeing. lines continuing to drop. Miami's covered now, 4 straight games in a row, and they come off getting their first
Real quick,
win.
do you think Brian Hoyer was that bad of a quarterback? I think the only reason why they lost that game to the Steelers is because Adam Vinatieri missed a field goal.
Yeah.
I thought he threw the pick six, which I was waiting for because I was on the Steelers.
I had the Steelers.
That being said, he didn't lose that football game.
No, I don't think so. That's why. I mean,
There's not 5 points difference
That's what I
between
guess
him.
I should be
no,
saying.
the drop-off is
Between
not.
him
No.
Okay.
The drop-off is not worth all that. But again, I'm not ready to jump on Miami. I mean, they got their first win. Getting that O off your chest, I mean, that's got to be so much pressure for that team. So I don't know how.
Now they got pressure. They don't want to get another win because they're not going to.
They don't want exactly get a shot at the draft pick.
Right. We went through those numbers.
Don't let that
Now,
happen again.
We are going to go. I need to know who you guys are going for your teasers of the week. You getting excited for this one? The teasers have been cashing really well for both of these guys. Marco, we'll start with you. What is your teaser?
Well, the first
for
half
week
is
10?
easy. It's the New York Jets plus 8.5.
Okay.
There's no way the Giants, first of all, should be favored. Second of all, I don't see them getting separation and winning by more than a touchdown. So that one's easy. The second one is on the Thursday night game, and this is going to determine whether you have to use a 6.5-point teaser or a 6. There are a couple rogue 1.5s out there right now. If it's 1.5, then we use the 6-point teaser. Get Oakland plus 7.5 at home. If not, if you can only get one, then you got to use the 6.5.
You're right. There is a lot. Offshore, there's some 1.5s, but Vegas, we have 1.5 left at the good old Westgate. Everybody else hanging out
Just down
at
the street,
1.
we can run and get it.
There you
or
go.
I can jump on my app right now like you do.
Yes.
Okay, and take Oakland plus the 7.5 as the teaser with the Jets.
All right, VR, your teaser.
We're strictly teasing numbers and hopefully falling on sides we at least agree on. These numbers make sense. New York Jets, like Marco touched on, we're going through that 3 that we lost now that Wise Guys took the plus 3 and it's 2.5. So we could get that up to 8.5. Pretty good with a 43.5 total. And just tie that into the Monday night game with San Francisco, just having the win at home straight up against Seattle. San Francisco is good. This is primetime television, a chance to show we are the team in the NFC West. I like it.
I like it too. The Jets is a team that I have circled on my long list, but I don't know if I have the guts to actually play them in real life. But I agree with both of you. I do think this is going to be a very competitive game. Yes, they're at home. Yes, so are the Giants. So there is no home field advantage.
Right.
I don't truly believe this Giants team is basically a field goal better. Definitely not a touchdown better.
No way.
Niners, we already said that we agreed on the Niners, so that's a great one. And Thursday night, the home team with the Raiders here. That's going to be a fun one. I might just have to do it so I have a little action on Thursday night, maybe throw that in my teaser. Okay, guys, it is time for us to take a quick break, but when we return, we're getting the steam game from Mr. VR, Gianni the Greek, over here, and either the sandwich or the trap game from Marco. Stay tuned. We got lots of great stuff, and maybe even a little surprise for you at the end of the show.
Looking for more NFL betting info? Then tune into the Presidential Address each week when Wager Talk's own Lawrence Presman, the Prez, along with Ralph Michaels, break down this week's entire NFL card. The show is available every week exclusively at Wager Talk TV. If you like betting on horses, be sure to check out WagerTalk.com's own Sig, who zeroes on one racetrack at a time, offering his handicapping skills. Visit his homepage daily for his top selection in each race free. If you want all his selections for that track, you can get his full racing report for just $9.
I really like this segment, mainly because we've been killing it. Sandwich, steam, trap, whatever it is, it's been a great segment all year long, so make sure you guys check this one out. VR is always going to give us his steam game, and Marco is either going to bring us his sandwich or trap game of the week. VR, we'll start with you. Who we steaming?
We're going to go ahead and bet a total on this one, and it's an early game, Arizona, Tampa Bay. We're going to go under the total. We steamed it at 53.5, 53, 52.5, and 52. It's down to 51.5. There's still value there. Just don't get below 51. That's one of those key numbers that truly matters. It's simply a case of recency bias and the fact that Tampa Bay's gone over, 5 or 6 straight games. But styles make fights. And I don't think you're going to get the points that you've seen from Tampa Bay the last couple of weeks. It's not going to be as easy. I like this game to stay under the total. I agree with that steam move.
All right. Marco, He's going to give us a sandwich game this week. And either Marco's sandwich or trap games have been doing really, really well. 7-2 on the season. Marco, what do you have for us week 10 in the sandwich spots?
Well, we're hungry this week, Kelly, and I'm actually hungry right now. But we're going to go ahead and go with, you can't nod your head, okay?
I was shoving my face just about 20 minutes ago.
Okay. So I'm looking at the Kansas City-Tennessee game, and this is the perfect sandwich spot. You've got Kansas City coming off. First of all, you lose Patrick Mahomes, and he's listed as questionable for this week. Based on the fact that everybody's got numbers up already, and last week there was a lot of hesitation with the numbers, and then they put it up late in the week. This number tells me he's going to play this week. And you're coming off back-to-back games against Green Bay and Minnesota without your starting quarterback. I'm sure Kansas City would have been, elated to know, hey, you're going to lose Mahomes, you're going to play two of the top teams in the NFC, and you're going to come out 1-1, and you had an opportunity to actually win both of them. So they're actually not only in a sandwich spot, but for me, they got to be feeling a little fat and sassy because they didn't lose any ground to the Chargers. Now we look at this one, and we have the Tennessee here on the other end. They're coming home off of a loss to Carolina, looking to bounce back. They've got Tannehill as the quarterback. I think he gives them – I'm not a big fan of his, but I think he gives more options than Mariota.
I agree.
Mariota just never showed that next step.
I said last week, this is what I said about Ryan Tannehill. Who wants to lay points or take points on the road with Ryan Tannehill? I need at least a touchdown. That line was really short from Carolina and how their performance was against the Niners more than anything. But you're right. He's back home. We've seen what he can do. And he doesn't get scared. I don't know if I feel like Mariota's scared in the pocket. He runs around sometimes like a chicken with his head cut off, and I'm going, what are you doing? And I will say Tannehill does not do that.
I think the biggest mistake they made with Mariota is, do you want him to run or do you want him not? And they were trying to keep him as a pocket passer, and it just wasn't working. The other part that I'm looking at here with Kansas City, this still is a bad defense, okay? And if Mahomes is coming back this week, this gets us the second half. You always hear me talk about the injured player theory. And the injured player theory works. You take the injured team that first game that the star's out because everybody, pumps it up. They play at 110%, give an effort to compensate for the star that's out. Well, it's just the opposite when he returns. The game he returns, there's like that, we made it through that two-game stretch that he wasn't there. 1-1, we didn't lose any ground. We still got control of the division. They're going to take a little bit of a relaxation, take a deep breath. And, oh, by the way, who do they play next week? We look at a sandwich game. What'd you just come off of? Green Bay and Minnesota. Who do you got coming up? You've got the Chargers, the only team that realistically can challenge you. The Raiders are making a little bit of noise, but I still think the Raiders are a year away. Chargers next week. This is a perfect sandwich spot.
This is just one of those classic short road favorite teams that the public likes to lay. They're going to remember what they saw last, and Matt Moore was able to beat that Vikings defense. So if Mahomes is back or not, it won't matter. They're going to love to lay the chalk
condiments, and I'm on board too.
All the condiments are on board. And throw one last stat at you. This Tennessee defense is better than their numbers show. Passing-wise, they've only allowed two teams to throw for 300 this year. Those two teams were Atlanta and Matt Ryan, and they were way behind in that game, so they were throwing on every down. And then the Charger game, Phillip Rivers throwing, and they did a lot of that late in the second half. I think this defense holds them in check, and Tennessee can run the football. We know what that can do, running the football against this Chiefs team.
Great stuff from Marco in VR. I'm very much in agreement with both of them. Let's bring in our resident stat man, Ralph Michaels, for some TNA. Ralph, I can't wait to find out what he brings up for us this week. All right, it's time for a little TNA with Ralph Michaels. Ralph, we got some extra time for this segment, so we're going to take it easy, go through all of those numbers you have over there on that paper, for the love of God. That's why I take my own notes, because Ralph always like, here, I got these notes for you. And I'm like, what do these say?
They're chicken scratch.
Yeah, they look like chicken scratch, especially on that screen. Okay, so you've got 5 angles or situations for us today. You want to start off?
Well, with my chicken scratch, I either have to be a handicapper or a doctor. write prescriptions. But now it's all computers, so I had to go to handicapping. So.
Well, I'm looking at this list that you already gave me. I don't think Marco and I are going to be very happy with some of these trends and angles, especially the third one. That one's hurtful.
Well, let's remember this. When you're handicapping, what are you doing? You're taking positives, you're taking negatives. I have team angles, I have team systems, I have technical situations, I have matchup situations. You're taking your positives and your negatives. So just because there's a system or an angle on one side doesn't mean you're not going to play against it. Or likewise, if you have multiple systems or angles and you like the matchups and you like the situations, it can make a play stronger. So again, we're looking at these plays and I'm giving you teams that it applies to this week. But this really is more for our viewers to become better bettors. Write down these situations, understand why they've been profitable or why they're a fade situation, and then take them and move on forward. So since 2010, we often talk on how teams do after a bye.
Fair,
but,
yeah. I feel like
but
we hear
does
that a lot.
Before a bye help a team?
Like, are they excited that they're going into a bye week to get a break?
Or do they give more effort because they know they don't have a bye?
Well, that was everybody against my Ravens bet on Sunday night. Well, the Patriots are going into a bye, so they're just going to leave it all on the field. Well, that's not exactly how that worked out, was it?
They played a historic week schedule, and so if you're playing the Jets and Washington and Miami and, the Browns, well, yeah, you're going to look good. So, but since 2010, division road teams before a bye, 29-13, 69%. So a very solid number. That's Seattle, week 10 against San Francisco.
Monday night.
And week 11, it's Arizona against San Francisco. A little plug your nose.
Ooh.
But Kelly, I also have a tightener in there. So play any division road team before a bye, it's been 69%. If the numbers are between the 5.5s, so you're a 5.5 point favorite down to a 5.5 point dog, 23-4 against the spread in that situation, which Seattle is right on the border of that number. But
Wow.
it goes to show you that when there are some tighteners, it turns out to be a pretty good system. Now, how about a win before a bye, and now you're an away favorite of 3 or more? We used this one a couple weeks ago, and it's been successful, so I want people to think about the same process. You had a quality win before your bye. You go into your bye, you're resting up, you feel good. You come out of your bye, you're an away favorite of 3 or more. It means you're the superior team. 41-13 against the spread, going all the way back to 2001. So it's been a 19-year system that's worked. It's the Rams against the Steelers, week number 10. Ugh. A very happy, rested team. Continuing on, how about this? Okay, I'm a Browns fan from Cleveland.
Okay.
So when I see a team that has 3 penalties, I don't think that's even possible because that's not the damn Browns. I think they had 18 against Tennessee.
At least.
So does it make a difference? Well, if you have an away dog of two or more points that played a game with only 3 or fewer penalties the last game, so you played a clean game. It doesn't matter if you won or lost. You played a clean game with no penalties. Now you're an away dog of 2 or more. You've gone 19-8, 70%. That's the Bills and Minnesota. So again, a 70% angle isn't like, I'm going to jump on it. But think about those situations when a team is playing well and they're in sync and they're not making mental mistakes. Again, it helps your team that much in the point spread. 2 more to go. Teams off a Monday night home loss versus a division foe. Why did I look it up? Well, the Giants were off a loss to Dallas. So I looked up what happens if a team wins on a Monday night against a division foe, what happens, if they lose. And since 2011, teams off a Monday night home loss versus a division foe, they've gone 6-17, 26.1%. That's a fade against the Giants versus the New York Jets this week.
Oof, I like that one.
And last one, I'll tell you what do you want when you have a good system? You want longevity.
Well, you want longevity, you want a larger sample size.
You want a larger sample size. Well, how about if I told you we have a 37-game sample size?
Okay.
And we have a system going back to 1994.
Oh, wow. I barely remember 1994, Ralph.
Okay. If you are a dog.
Okay.
Off a straight-up loss as an away favorite.
Okay.
And your opponent committed 3 or more turnovers in the last game. So your opponent, teams normally don't have horrible turnover games back-to-back games. You would think. You're a dog, and you're off the loss as an away favorite. Well, the Jets are a dog. The Jets lost straight up as a favorite at Miami. The Giants had 3 turnovers last week. Since 1994, 31-4, 89% play against on the Jets. Now, Kelly, listen to this.
Play against on the Giants.
Play against on the Giants. Play on the Jets.
Play on the Jets. Okay, sorry, I just want to clarify that.
The average line, 4.3. Straight up record for the dog with an average line of 4.3, 27-10.
All right.
ATS 31-4.
That is great stuff, Ralph. I love it. Always killing it. Time for us to take a quick break, but when we return, it's time to walk the dogs. Barking Dogs is up next.
Hey guys, I'm Lawrence Presman, the Prez, co-founder of Wager Talk. Excited that you're all watching Bet On It. Just want to tell you guys about our hockey show, Puck Time. It's honestly the best show that I do all week. We do it with all of the hockey talent over at Wager Talk and Sports Memo, from Alex B. Smith to Dave Koken, Carmine Bianco, Buster Sports, myself, and Andrew McGinnis. Different co-hosts every day. It's hockey all the time, and it's one of the best sports to bet on, and certainly the most exciting sport to watch. Check us out 2 p.m. Eastern every day, Monday to Friday, at Wager Talk TV.
Hey guys, over the last 8 weeks, in all sports combined, I'm 58-39, netting my clients a profit of 50% in a bankroll increase. This week only, you can get 7 days of all of my plays for just $79. The regular rate is $119, but this week only, get 7 days for $79 when you use coupon code MD79. This also includes our 5% major wager plays. Those plays sell for $40 by themselves, and I've got one going on Saturday. Go to my homepage now at wagertalk.com. Hurry, this offer ends Monday at midnight.
Welcome back to my favorite portion of the show, Don't Tell Ralph Michaels. You guys know I love those underdogs. We know VR, he's got to have that sprinkle on the money line. Okay,
Life
guys.
ain't worth living without it.
I know. So we did talk
Sunday.
about this a little bit. Marco and I are in agreement, so I'll start with VR. Who is your barking dog for NFL Week 10?
Prime time Sunday night football. The Minnesota Vikings going into the Big D and winning the game. No points needed in that one. Listen, Minnesota, they're going to have to protect Kirk Cousins. Last week, that was ridiculous. He was running for his life against Kansas City. In fact, he was 0-9 when pressured. That was the worst result of his career to date. That offensive line is going to show up for him against Big D. Take Minnesota money line. Sprinkle away.
Ooh. All right, Marco and I are in agreement with our barking dog. We both like the Steelers over the Rams. Marco, this is a Steelers team. They got lucky to get a win last week, frankly. Talk to me about why you like them to possibly beat the LA Rams, and at least why you like them plus 3.5.
Well, everybody, the public's going to look, and they're going to say exactly what you just said, Kelly. Steelers were lucky to win last week. It took a pick six and a missed field goal by Adam Vinatieri at the end of the game for them to preserve the win. I say, yeah, that's true, but they put themselves in that position to win that game. The defense has been playing well. You've got 3 guys on that Steeler defense that are making noise. They're impact players. Watt, Bush, Fitzpatrick. You got Watt up front. You've got Devin Bush, their number 1 draft pick. He is, since Ryan Shazier, he's the best linebacker Steelers have had. And he's a rookie, and he's making an impact. And Fitzpatrick in the secondary, 3 picks in the last 2 weeks. Pick 6 last week for us. Big one for us. Got us the touchdown that we needed badly. And people are also going to look and say, hey, Jacoby Brissett got hurt. They had to go to the 3rd-string quarterback. Brian Hoyer's been around forever. It's not like they went to somebody that had no experience at all. He came in and moved the football team. What I like about the Steelers is they got to that magical hurdle last week. Remember, this team started 0-3 after Big Ben got hurt. They had that first game that they just got annihilated by New England. Then Big Ben gets hurt in week 2. 0-3, season's over. They've crawled themselves back to 500.
Season isn't over, especially when you're in the same division as the Browns and the Bengals.
They're 4-4. They've got an opportunity, and they still got another game to go against Baltimore to try to get back in it. I'm looking at them. I like them here. You also got to look at, people are going to say, hey, but one of those wins was against Miami on Monday Night Football. And as we talked about earlier in the segment, Miami's a different ball club with Fitzpatrick at quarterback.
They are.
And Pittsburgh was coming off a bye week, and the old feeling fat and sassy and everything else took them for granted. That's why we were all on Miami that week.
Too many points, yeah.
Too many points, and we had to worry about it at the end. It got a little dicey at the end with the Steelers, but you look at Mason Rudolph, he's starting to get confidence. He's got one problem he's got to overcome, Kelly. He holds the football way too long. He's not Big Ben. He can't do that the way Ben did and extend plays because then he's getting into panic mode, and then he's taking a lot of sacks that he should not be taking. It's better not to throw an interception, but still, a sack is killing drives. So this is a spot, as long as he continues to improve. And then for all of the grief I've given Mike Tomlin about playing to the level of the competition, now he's playing a good team. He's playing the LA Rams. Tomlin, when he is an underdog.
At home.
Even better at home, but as an underdog, period, he's 32-20 as coach of the Steelers. And when he's playing a team just with a winning record, not, those teams he looks past. Team comes in, whether it's home or away, they got a winning record. Steelers 46-33 against the spread under Tomlin. This is a rare 425 start, too. We talk about
only 3 1 o'clock games.
We talk about games that in college football, how much it's a difference for the night games. You get an East Coast team that plays a 425 game, and I've been to many Steeler games. They know how to tailgate. You give them 3 extra hours, okay? They're going to be. And you know what the official tailgating shot is that you do at Steeler tailgates?
No.
Goldschlager.
Oh,
because
it's been a while.
It's black and gold, man. Black and gold.
Except it's clear and gold. Do you mean Goldschlager with Jägermeister? It's called a Starry Night, and it's terrible. But we do have a special surprise here on Bet On It. It is Marco's birthday.
Yeah, look at this.
And in, true Kelly fashion, I got you a...
Ace is eating, baby.
I know, right? I got you a cannoli cake.
Wow, nice.
So,
So
happy
you're
birthday.
not going to bitch at me about my diet
I am
today?
not going to bitch at him about his diet today because it is his birthday, and I already bitched at him prior to the show about his diet. So I'm going to let him have a cheat day. Marco,
Nice.
at least you can eat one of the cannolis on the top. How about
Absolutely.
that? Sound fair?
Damn, that looks good.
Yeah, let's get this show wrapped up.
I know, right?
I swear, I'm hungry.
But I just wanted to give Marco a happy birthday shout out. I don't think we'll be filming on my birthday, and VR's birthday is a long time away. So we got plenty of time to eat some cake and celebrate this week's best bets.
That's the difference between my birthday and yours. My birthday, we eat. Yours, we drink.
Yeah, this is true. I usually hate my own birthday because I don't even make it to dinner half the time. All right, speaking of hating myself, that's a good segue to my best bet because clearly I do. Man, okay.
Are you serious?
Well, we'll start. I know, we've rolled out everything this week. We've given out some great plays. I'm going to give you out the ugliest, the scariest play on the road. I know I said last week on the BR betting show that I do on Sundays, who lays points with the Cleveland Browns on the road? Who lays points with the Cleveland Browns, period? Well, I laid the 2.5 with Cleveland already. It's headed to 3 in some spots. Yeah, I feel really apprehensive about this one, but I'm looking at it. This one looks like an absolute and utter trap. It is begging you to bet the Bills +3. They are just saying, give us all your Bills money. We want it. I'm looking through all my notes. I have nothing good to say about Freddie Kitchens. We already know this, how I feel about him. I really have nothing good to say about Baker Mayfield. And their stock has plummeted. They just lost to my Denver Broncos, which was a nice money line cash for me. But this one's interesting. This is really tough. But I do think the Cleveland Browns rally at home and get the win and the cover over the Buffalo Bills. It's the Buffalo Bills. This is a winnable game for this team. Again, more than anything, it's a play against how easy it looks to take the Buffalo Bills. All right, birthday boy, you're up next.
All right, and you're going to get tweets on Sunday,
When I change it and I bet the Bills.
No, just the
kidding.
fact that, because they never say anything before games whenever they call us
why would
out on
they?
plays.
I love that.
It's like,
That's so.
They
that's
wait
so
till
right.
the game's over.
But
and go,
tell
how
me-
could you play this guy?
Yeah.
Where were you
Show me
before?
your ticket
Yeah,
that
where
you
were
had
you
the other
before
side.
the
I'll
game?
show you guys my ticket,
Yeah.
and it's ugly.
Oh, no.
That's
well,
so true. That's so true.
I know who else you were considering in that segment, and they weren't the prettiest.
I
of
looked at
teams in.
I literally wrote on my note sheet, "Kill me now," because I'm really trying to decide which one of these is.
Wait till you see what I give you.
It's ugly, you guys. All right, Marco, who do you got for us?
All right,
Mr.
well-
Best Bet birthday boy.
Yeah, considering who you guys have for best bets, I got like this is like a Cadillac here.
Here, do you want to eat your cherry before?
Can you do the tie that?
No, I cannot.
Oh, man.
That is the bar trick that everybody had that I definitely do not.
It disappoints me. I would have thought
Okay,
definitely
great.
you would have been able to
Call
do
yourself
that.
a lady?
Yeah.
Marco's like,
Yeah, but. All right, let's get back on track. Carolina plus the points against Green Bay. Carolina made a move this week that I think is going to absolutely benefit the team. By pulling the plug on Cam Newton is going to help Kyle Allen, in my opinion. Not that he needs any help. They're 6-1 with him as a starting quarterback. What's the one game he lost? To one of the best defenses in the league, San Francisco on the road. You take that one game away, the guy's been perfect. Now, he's not lighting it up. He's not putting up big numbers, but he's doing enough to win, and they are buying into him. The team has rallied around him. Then you got Christian McCaffrey. This is the best all-purpose running back, in my opinion, in the league. Runs the football, catches the ball out of the
you
backfield.
got a game plan for him.
Yeah.
You have to.
And Green Bay's defense, we know it sucks. It sucked all year. They went on the road. They should have lost to Kansas City. Aaron Rodgers just made a couple unbelievable throws in that game, and that was against the backup quarterback, Matt Moore. Then last week, they go on the road and they get beat by the Chargers, who were in total disarray, with their season where they were at. I like Carolina here. I think they get the job done. The biggest difference comes on the defensive side of the ball. Carolina's ranked 12th, allowing 5.6 yards per play. Green Bay down towards the bottom, ranked 26th defensively. Do you want to lay points with a team that can't stop somebody?
We've seen it time and time and again, especially in Lambeau. They just let people run all over them.
Joe Flacco almost won a game in Lambeau this year.
Touche. There you go.
That's all I got to say.
All right, VR. Best bet time. I know you've had a lot of really good info here, but you got to dig deep.
I'm digging. This is such an obvious bet, and it's simple. Cincinnati Bengals getting double digits against the Baltimore Ravens. It's automatic. You have to bet them at home getting double digits in this spot. This is as big of a letdown spot for Baltimore as you're going to find, coming off that win against the New England Patriots on primetime Sunday Night Football. But let's not forget, these two teams just met a few weeks ago. And the point spread in that game was 10, the same as it is now. The only difference is it was played in Baltimore. Now they're given that same number on the road. They couldn't cover 10 at home against Cincinnati. They're not going to cover 10 on the road, especially with Andy Dalton on the bench. That's exactly what this team needed, to bring in that young quarterback, that NC State kid, see what he has, because you're going to be drafting probably drafting number 1 next year, and you got to decide what quarterback you're going after. So I like what Cincinnati's doing. I like the Bengals plus 10. I would not be surprised if they even surprise and get their first win against Baltimore.
What?
You heard it here
That's
first.
crazy. I do
Money
think-
line.
I do.
Both of you in Ohio this week? Man.
I do think that the Bengals is the right side. You're right. I think a lot of people, especially that also told me I was an idiot for my Ravens pick on Sunday night.
Baltimore's had the easy go of it.
What they've been able to do, what they were able to do at home against Tom Brady and the Pats, is just setting this up for people to lay double digits on the road here. I think it's completely asinine. I also do like Marco's Carolina pick of 5.5. I really wish I would have got to the Westgate last week and took the 7, though. Especially, because they did lose in the soccer stadium. I think that does hurt the Packers' credibility, but let's just hope
When
that...
have you ever seen Lions moving against Green Bay?
At home.
At home.
I know.
And Aaron Rodgers. And the fact that it was early, and you've got to have had guys in accounts that were hitting Carolina.
For sure. For sure.
Because you're normally when a Green Bay game, you're waiting until later because
the public's going to move it up. You're absolutely right.
Oh, here's some good news for my best bet that I completely forgot about. Kareem Hunt will be making his debut this week against the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo Bills decent defense, but hopefully maybe he has something to prove. And
Cleveland 0-4 their last four, haven't covered a game.
Played well for
You're right,
Cleveland
Chubb
when
has
he holds on to the football.
Yeah.
Buffalo is that looks like the biggest sucker bet.
Well, especially when I'm reading here,
You got a
Browns
6-2 team catching points.
1-13 in their
2-6.
last 14 games at home versus teams with winning records. Like I said, it's an ugly one.
When I was doing the sandwich or the trap, considered the trap, that this was a trap to take Buffalo, but I just don't have the big enough set. I'm sorry.
I told you it was between them or the Bears. I was a glutton for punishment this week, like I have been with the Bucks the last several weeks. So see, I saved that from you guys. You guys don't have to bet my Bucks plays that I've been giving out week after week that the refs gifted to the Titans and then somehow
Robbery.
misses a field goal to go to overtime. Ugh. Memories. All right, guys, we're going to step out for a quick break. When we return, it's going to be our final thoughts on this week's NFL action. Remember, we're doing this to be nice. We're giving you a recap. So for Marco and Gianni's sanity, please do not just scroll to the end and just look at the recap.
Or else just press play, leave the room, come back in
I
about
don't
30,
care.
45 minutes.
Yeah. And you can just watch the recap.
end. Yeah.
But just know that I fought hard for this because I think it makes the most sense. That way everything is all wrapped up into one nice little gift box for you guys to cash some tickets on Sunday morning.
All right. I told you when I came, I'm not here to market big games or short-term random hot streaks. I'm here to win for you long-term. It's exactly what I've done. Up money the last 7 days, up money the last 30 days, up money the last 365 days, up money for 219. That's what less than 1% of bettors can do. I'm going to give you the week for only $79. Last time you had the month, should have jumped on. Jump on for the week. Got a lot of big plays coming up this weekend. Only $79. Win long term.
All right, time for the show recap. I'm over here eyeballing this cake that I really just wanted to eat, one of the cannolis, but I didn't want to give Twitter any more firepower than they already had, so I'm going to refrain. Let's do a little quick recap. Sunday night football, we all like the Minnesota Vikings. Monday night, we all in agreement on the 49ers. Next up, we have the steam and the sandwich games of the week. Got Marco over here. Never mind, we got the teaser. Sorry, guys. Oh, yeah, this is the teaser segment that I have a really fun comment about. No, all jokes aside, VR's and Marco are both on the Jets. VR on Monday night with the 49ers. Marco on Thursday night with the Raiders. I'd love to tell you guys, hey, let's just do a 3-team teaser here, but then the math guys would try to slaughter me in the comments, so.
Math guys, you do that, there's going to be some doofus that is going to make a comment about us if you do math wrong.
Doofus?
Doofus.
Interesting. Okay. Well,
yeah.
Okay. Either way, I do. I just don't care. All right, steam game from VR under in the Tampa Bay Arizona game. And this one did get steam. Boy, did it ever. Like he said, at 51.5, it's still worth a play. But at 51, being a key number, tread very lightly. And Marco likes the fate of Kansas City in between the Vikings and the Chargers game. He likes the Tennessee Titans. Barking dogs, we got a few of them. Marco and I agree with Pittsburgh. This is just a little too many points for the home team. And VR likes the visiting Minnesota Vikings on Sunday night. Best bets. I'll go with Marco's first. He likes the Carolina Panthers. VR and I like, hey, look, we all have C best bets this week. That could be fun. Carolina, Cincinnati, and Cleveland. Again, VR and I have the ugly, well, I have a favorite. I can't believe I'm going to lay points here with the Cleveland Browns, but I'm going to take the right side here, that I feel like Cleveland is going to get there. I really like Marco's as well. And I did play VR's Bengals, 10 points, new quarterback against a divisional rival. Let's hope that we don't hate ourselves.
I can see you Sunday if the Browns, if Baker Mayfield blows it up. I could just see
and Freddie Kitchens
throws
four straight.
You'll be losing.
Listen, I get really passionate because I care about the picks that I give out on the show. College, I killed it last week. I went 0-for on the show last week, so time for us to, be a little bit better. Okay, guys, I hope you enjoyed tonight's show as much as we did doing it. From Gianni, Marco, and myself, good luck. Until next week, let's bet on it.